welcome to this video that is going to be another Volume 1 try vlog. These are my favorite videos to film, just because I'm able to try a bunch of new series and give y'all my immediate thoughts. And today we don't have a theme, it's just going to be a random selection. I think I have about 25 Volume 1s unread in my collection right now, not including digital reads, so I'm going to try to cut that to around half. Maybe we'll do 10 today. And these are just some examples of some of the titles. Everything from Yen Press or Iza Press other than The Summer Hikaru Died was sent to me by Yen Press, so I guess keep that potential bias in mind. But yeah, y'all know the drill. I'm just gonna come back whenever I read one or two or whatever of these and give my thoughts. There are some in here that I'm like really excited to read, and I've been waiting until I felt like doing one of these videos, so it should be a good time. Okay, hello, I have read 2 volumes as of now. These were like the things I was most excited to read for sure from the latest package Yen Press sent me. And we'll start with Volume 1 of Not So Wicked Stepmom. This is a new manhwa that's releasing by Iza Press. And I've enjoyed pretty much all the manhwa I've tried recently, and this one was no exception. I did enjoy it. I feel like this was definitely a setup volume, and I can't really tell what the direction of the story is. Like, I can't see like an end goal or I guess kind of like a point to the plot moving forward, but I'm willing to continue reading and see. Basically, the setup is that this girl who is a children's clothing designer, she passes away from overwork and gets like reincarnated / isekai'd into the stepmother of Snow White. So I thought this was a Cinderella story, but apparently it's Snow White. So it's not like quite clear if she's like gone back to the past or she's in like a kind of like a fairy tale basically. But yeah, the stepmother was really evil and treated Snow White terribly, but now that our main character is in the stepmother's body, she is obviously not evil and wicked, so it's like an adjustment to the characters around her that she's suddenly like nice and pleasant. That's been like a common theme in a couple of these isekais I've read, where there's like a villainess and suddenly the villainess is not so villainous anymore. But yeah, so far basically it's just the new stepmom kind of like doting on her daughter, seeing kind of like the effects of her previous actions, even though it wasn't her. So I guess the plot is kind of that she's trying to right her wrongs in the past. Like, now she just wants to be a doting mother, get her all the presents, design clothes for her daughter. And also we're getting an insight into her relationship with the king, which was a marriage of convenience, but they're expected to produce an heir, but the king is like really hesitant to take another wife for some reason. So I guess there's like a little bit of seeds of a plot stewing, but I just like can't see the bigger picture as of now. So I'm interested to read more. I wasn't like completely hooked by this, but it was good. And then next I read After We Gazed at the Starry Sky Volume 1. This is a BL title about 2 men who end up working together on a project basically. One is a graphic designer, one is a photographer, and they work together on this planetarium show. And their relationship develops from there. The graphic designer is in a wheelchair, he's like paralyzed from the knee down since birth. So I thought the disability representation was pretty nice in this one. But I will say, I can't tell if this is a Volume 1. Like, it reads more like a one-shot. We kind of got a complete arc. There was even like a thing titled Epilogue, so I'm not sure if it was a mistake that this was labeled as Volume 1, but I would read more of this if there was more to the story. I thought this was pretty cute. Nothing amazing, nothing super special, but the characters were nice. I would like to see them in a more longer developed story, I guess. Which is usually the case for me with one-shots. Like, I like one-shots, but often I'm left wanting more. So if there is more to this story, that's great. But it did feel like a complete arc. There was like a spicy scene at the end too. And I know that's pretty common with like romance one-shots, I guess. So yeah, I thought this was good. It was cute, but I'm a bit confused as to whether this is a one-shot or not. Okay, hello, I have read one more Volume 1, and that is Volume 1 of The Prince of Tennis. Seems kind of random, but I've really been in the mood to read a sports series. And I've been debating like rereading Yaopeta or Haikyuu, but I don't know, I've been having a hard time like rereading stuff lately. I just have this guilt that I need to read stuff on my TBR, you know, like why go back to some old series? And I know that's not like the best mindset to have, but this was my compromise, like a sports series, but it's one I haven't read yet, and I don't know what more to say. I love this first volume. I am a sucker for pretty much any sports series, so there's no surprise there. But yeah, I mean, this series is about tennis, obviously. It's about this middle school kid, and he is like seemingly this tennis prodigy. He was abroad winning tournaments, stuff like that, but he's come back to Japan, and this first volume is just pretty much a setup of him trying out for his school's tennis team. He's about to face up some of the upperclassmen, you know, and we'll see if he can beat them or if he'll get knocked down a peg. I don't know, he's not like cocky or anything like that. He like knows his skills are really good, so I'm just interested to see how that progresses moving forward. I have a lot of these volumes actually, not all of them. If I want to continue, I'll have to do like a combo Shonen Jump app / physical unless I buy more volumes. But yeah, I'm pretty pumped to continue with this one. Gives me the feelings that all the sports series do. I don't know, just that adrenaline, the hype. I've heard this series gets kind of like fantastical as you go on, kind of like Kuroko's Basketball, but that doesn't really bother me, obviously, because I love Kuroko's Basketball. But if you want a realistic tennis series, I would obviously recommend Baby Steps, which is available on the K-Manga app now. But yeah, fantastical or not, cheesy, campy, over the top, or more realistic, it doesn't matter to me. So it's not surprising that I like this. Okay, hello, I'm just on a roll today. I've read volume 1 of I Don't Know Which Is Love. This is another one I was pretty excited / curious to try out because it's a little bit different. It's a Yuri harem manga. So basically, this girl in high school, she had a crush on her best friend all throughout high school, and she decides to confess when they're graduating, but she basically gets rejected. And now that she's in college, she's like, I want to get a girlfriend. Where do I get a girlfriend? I need to get over this heartbreak and find someone new, basically. And of course, immediately she's presented with these like 5 girls. She's overwhelmed and she like seemingly falls in love with all of them. She doesn't know what's going on. They're all like quite aggressive also in their affections towards her. And it's just kind of like silly and ridiculous. I laughed out loud multiple times during this. And yeah, if you don't take this too seriously, I think this is a fun manga so far. All of the love interests are a bit, I would say, I guess, quirky. The way to distinguish them the best is that they all have like certain kinks, which is what they like about the main character. Like, she just like likes holding hands and touching her, basically. She likes her smell, she likes her taste, she likes the sound of her voice, and she likes kind of, I guess, like her intellectual side. But this lady's a professor, so it's a little bit But they're all adults, they're in college. And I don't know, I just thought it was funny. And I'm not too familiar with, like, you know, heterosexual harem tropes, so I'm not sure if this is basically, like, a parody of that with all girls. Like, I don't know if I would like this so much if the main character was a guy and all these girls were after him. Do I only like it because it's gay? Like, probably, but I'm not mad at it. So yeah, I could see, like, a turnoff of this for some people is that, like, all the characters are pretty aggressive. Like, the main character is aggressive towards these women in her head. She's like, oh, like, I know we're just trying to be friends, but like, oh my gosh, boobs, and like, oh my gosh, like, this situation is dangerous, blah, blah, blah. And then all the love interests are very, like, forward, too. So everything so far is consensual, but it's definitely, like, towing the line a little bit there. So yeah, that's a turnoff for me if it gets into, like, more gray territory like that. But the main character is definitely just, like, confused and overwhelmed with the affections of all these characters. She's starting college, it's a new environment, and she's not used to the attention. So yeah, I'm willing to try some more volumes of this. It was definitely funny, campy, silly. So I would give it a shot if you're looking for some different girls love manga, I guess. Yeah, it was a pretty good first volume. Sticking with the Yuri theme, I read volume 1 of Yuri Espoir. This one is about a girl. She's a senior in high school. She is part of this rich family, and she finds out that when she graduates, she is going to be married off to this CEO businessman, basically. But the issue is that she's gay, doesn't want to marry a man, and she figures this last year of high school is her last chance to kind of experience some romance, or at least be able to fulfill her fantasies out to the fullest. So basically, she has this sketchbook, and she doesn't think that she'll be able to have her own romance, so she kind of like lives vicariously through these fantasies she has about these strangers that she sees. And it's kind of interesting because like one chapter will be just like this couple that she sees, and she kind of like makes up a scenario for what she thinks is going on with them. And then the next chapter you see like what is really going on with them. And there's lots of different scenarios. They're all the couples on the cover, so there's like a one-sided crush here. These two are both going after the same guy. These two are childhood friends, but there's like another character, so it's like a love triangle. And this is kind of like a fake dating-ish scenario. And then there's the main character and her best friend who's in love with her, but she hasn't confessed yet. So there's a lot going on, but I think it's really interesting seeing this kind of like fantasy versus reality type thing. And I first heard about this manga when I went to the Tokyo Pop panel at Anime Expo, and they were saying how this manga had some like pretty dark and heavy themes contrasted with like the really cutesy art style. And I can definitely see the beginnings of that. You can't help but feel for this main character girl. Like, she's basically being forced into this marriage, and she literally says that her life is gonna be over after high school. So her best friend is basically like trying her best to find a way for her friend to get out of this without revealing her feelings. So yeah, there's like the plot with the fiance, and then there's all these other like side relationships, and I'm not sure if these side relationships are gonna be like recurring characters or if like every single chapter is gonna be a different set of characters. I'm not sure. Like, I wouldn't mind either way. Like, I'm pretty invested in all of these different scenarios and the main character, so yeah, I like this first volume. I'll definitely continue. I think the series is only like 5 volumes, so not a huge commitment. But yeah, really interesting. This and the last one I read are definitely something new in the Yuri sphere from stuff that I've tried in the past. This one is definitely more serious, but I'm like pretty much already attached to these characters. I'm rooting for them, and I'm curious to see how it goes moving forward. Hello, it is the next morning, and honestly, kind of a rough start to my day here with these 2 volumes. I don't know why I decided to read like the most depressing thing ever right when I woke up, but let's talk about The Horizon first. So yeah, I don't know why I started my morning with the most like depressing manhwa imaginable, but so this story is about these 2 kids kind of wandering the ends of the earth. Seemingly they're like the last 2 humans. The story opens with like this very grotesque, gruesome scene of a bunch of people getting killed. It's not clear if they're like zombies and it's an apocalypse, or if the government just like decided to kill off everyone for some reason. But these 2 kids end up being on the run by themselves, and in this volume they meet this other character who is super creepy. Did not like that at all. But yeah, I think ultimately this first volume was just not what I needed to be reading right now. It was just kind of creepy, desolate, hopeless, dark, kind of scary, but like not in a, you know, like jump scare, spooky, scary way, kind of in like an even worse scary way of just like complete isolation, like I said, hopelessness, despair. I can appreciate this for what it's trying to do, and I might continue this on like Webtoon or something, because I've heard people describe this series as like a masterpiece, and I'm sure it only gets more dark and depressing as you go on, which is like hard to imagine almost. But I don't know if I'm in the mood for something like this right now. Like, I knew what I was getting into when starting this. Like, everyone has told me it's super sad and messed up, but I'm not sure this is like what I really want to be reading right now. So I guess this is the first like real dud in this video, but I think a lot of people will like this. Like, I'm not saying it's bad, it just was not for me and what I really want to be reading right now. Like, I think I'm gonna have nightmares about this. Again, it's not scary in like a typical scary way. It's scary in a way that like gets you thinking about our world and dregs up feelings that are not so happy feelings, I guess. So yeah, The Horizon, Volume 1. Give it a shot if you're in the mood for something like this, but if not, save yourself a little bit of peace, I guess. And then this morning, I also read Volume 1 of The Illustrated Guide to Monster Girls, and I'm gonna be honest, this was a slog to get through. I felt my eyes glazing over at some points. I'm surprised I even finished this Volume 1, but dang, we're just being negative first thing in the morning. But yeah, this series is about a group of monster girls. They represent the 7 deadly sins, but they are in the class Z. They're kind of like the flunkies of this monster girl school. And it's kind of just like a slice of life little story. Each chapter is about kind of one of the monster girls, and seems like the overarching plot is that some of the upper classes, like the better monsters, don't like them and kind of want to get rid of all of them. So I can see what it's trying to do. It's trying to be like a, you know, underdog story. You're supposed to find these little monster girls really endearing and want to root for them, but I just found them really annoying. This was intending to be a comedy also, but I didn't think it was funny at all. It was just like kind of a chore to get through, and I didn't like it at all. I would not recommend this unless you really like, I guess, like monster girls and stuff like that. The art is great. I will say the art is good, but I just could not get into it. I could not be fussed to care about any of the characters or anything going on in this. So yeah, hopefully I can read some better things the rest of this video, but I don't know which is worse. Boring like this or just straight up depressing like The Horizon? Let me know in the comments. Hello, it is the next weekend actually. I wanted to take a break as to not burn out after reading those two duds, I guess, but we're back. And thankfully, we got a volume 1 that I really enjoyed. Volume 1 of Cinderella Closet. I actually got this from my library, so I'm kind of cheating. It's not on like my own TBR, but I wanted to read something that I was pretty sure I was gonna like, just to get back into the groove of it. But yeah, this volume 1 was really good in my opinion. It's basically a Princess Jellyfish story if you're familiar with Princess Jellyfish. It's about this girl, she's kind of like a country bumpkin, she is moving to Tokyo for college, but she's been in Tokyo for a year now and none of her like high school dreams have come true. Like she doesn't have a boyfriend, she doesn't have many friends, she's not in a club. All she does is work, go to school, sleep, eat, basically. She has a crush on her coworker, and she just doesn't know the first thing about romance or going on a date or anything. But coincidentally, she meets this person who is super gorgeous, fashionable, knows a lot about makeup, hair, clothes, etc., and they develop a friendship. Where it's kind of like Princess Diaries style, they kind of give her a makeover, you know, and the guy's suddenly interested in her now. But if you're familiar with Princess Jellyfish, you'll kind of know who this character is. I won't spoil it, even though it's like the first volume. There's not much to spoil, but if you know, you know. And so yeah, there's a potential like romance brewing, but if it goes into the friendship direction, I'll be cool with it too. Yeah, I'm really intrigued by this one. I think I'll buy it for my own collection. I think volume 2 or 3 is already out now. But yeah, I really like this one. Again, especially if you like Princess Jellyfish or kind of like moving to the big city type stories or makeover series or whatever. But what I like about this one is it's not just about her physical appearance. Like, this person really is trying to instill like confidence, and if you want to look good, you should be wanting that for yourself, not to like please this dude, you know? So it's not just about like dressing up all pretty to attract a man or whatever, which I like about it. If it was just that, I don't think I would like this as much, but the fact that they're really pressing the message that like this should be for you, like you need to stop being so self-deprecating, stuff like that. There are lessons that I should take a little bit for myself too, so you know, it's nice to be reminded of that sometimes. And yeah, volume 1, Cinderella Closet, like this one a lot, and I think I'll read a couple more volume 1s in this video, so I'll be back when I do that. Okay, hello, I kind of cheated again. I read a digital manga volume 1. I think I've shown this before, but I have a lot of volume 1s that I've bought through like Kodansha's sales, and I recently discovered my library has like the entirety of Tokyopop's catalog digitally, which includes a lot of their like one-shots and short volume series, so maybe I'll do a whole other video just getting through my digital TBR, but the volume 1 I read was Windbreaker, and to my credit, this volume 1 just came out physically, so I was kind of like, you know, reading this to see if I liked it enough to buy it physically. Yes, that's my excuse. But this is another one I was like really excited to try because it's a delinquent manga, and I love delinquent manga. I wish there was more of it out in English. But yeah, this is about a guy who's gonna start high school, and he chose this high school specifically because it's notorious for being a big delinquent school. And it's kind of alluded that he has been an outcast his whole life because of his looks. He's got kind of a unique look going on, and he's kind of a lone wolf and thinks he can handle everything by himself, so he wants to be at the top of this delinquent school. He's gonna fight his way to the top. But when he gets to the school / this town, he quickly learns that this is not really the case. The students of this school have kind of turned into this like vigilante crime fighting group that is protecting this town from other rival gangs and stuff like that. So he is kind of confused and taken aback. Like, he still wants to get to the top of this school, but now it's a different dynamic than he was expecting. So yeah, so far I thought this first volume was fun. There's a lot of action, the characters are likable, a lot of like eccentric, quirky type characters in this school. I mean, they're all delinquents in some aspect, but they're like kind delinquents. They care a lot about their town, they're very passionate, and yeah, it's kind of got the same structure as Tokyo Revengers. Like, the school is like kind of one big gang, and then there's like leaders, and then there's like sub-factions and groups, and they're like split into squads and stuff, and I don't know, I really like that kind of thing, so I think I will buy this physically for my own collection also, like Cinderella Closet, or maybe I'll read this on the K-Manga app. I think it's on there. That's like the best part about this you know, K-manga thing that's going on. It's really easy to sample series on there. Recently, I read like 60 chapters of What Did You Eat Yesterday on there, and then I bought all the volumes myself, so it's like a segue into getting series. But yeah, Windbreaker Volume 1, I liked it, I recommend. It's fun so far, and if you like delinquent stuff, I definitely would pick this up. Okay, and we're ending this video off with a pleasant surprise. I read Volume 1 of Associate Professor Akira Takatsuki's Conjecture. Long title. Seems like this is adapted from a novel, and I'm not sure if the novel is published in English anywhere, but I thought this first volume was pretty enjoyable as well. It's about a guy who's in college, and basically he can tell when people are lying. And this is a result of kind of a supernatural event that happened to him as a child. And in college, he's taking this class on folklore, and the professor is like this guy who's really interested in like ghosts and myths and hometown mysteries and stuff like that. And he has this blog where students can submit like any supernatural occurrences that have happened to them. And the main character submits his story about how he got this power to detect lies, basically. And the professor immediately is like, tell me more, I need to know more. And he ends up being his sort of like assistant as the professor goes around investigating these cases that people come to him with, or ghost stories, stuff like that. So it's like an episodic kind of mystery solving, little bit of paranormal activity type thing, but I really liked it. I like the characters. There's definitely some like darker undertones. It reminds me of the manga The Morose Mononoken, if you've ever heard of that, with kind of like this duo type dynamic that they have going on. And also, I think there's another manga like this, I think it's called Usatoki Rhetoric, where the main character can detect lies. And it's kind of another like detective agency type thing. So yeah, if you're looking for a story like this, I would recommend this one. I liked it more than I thought I would. I'm not a huge fan of like fantasy paranormal type stuff most of the time, but this was a good blend. You'll know what I mean if you read it. It's not entirely fantastical. I don't know, I don't want to spoil anything, but yeah, I enjoyed this first volume. Glad I gave it a shot. And now we'll just recap everything I read in this little vlog. And here's my stack, kind of ranked. The worst thing was definitely the Illustrated Guide to Monster Girls. I would not recommend this. Total dud in my opinion. Unless you really like this Monster Girl, little bit of horror, slice of lifey genre, I would take a pass on this. The Horizon, I could see what it was trying to do, but just not something I really need in my life right now. Might come back to it one day, but a little bit too dark, depressing, desolate for my tastes right now. I Don't Know Which Is Love. Now that I've had more time to like reflect on this, I thought this was more just okay than really good. It's funny, it's campy, it's silly, and I'm curious to read more, but definitely don't take this one too seriously or you won't enjoy it at all. After We Gaze at the Starry Sky, this one was cute. I have since found out that it's a 2-volume series. This is the one I wasn't sure if it was a one-shot or what, because it seemed pretty conclusive. So I'm wondering if maybe this was like originally a one-shot and then the author continued it. I'm not sure, but I will be continuing with this one because this was cute enough to continue for sure. Not So Wicked Stepmom, this one was mostly a setup volume, so I'm definitely intrigued to continue with this. See if the plot goes in a direction that's more, I guess, defined? I guess I'm more curious as to the direction of the story. Yes. That's my opinion on this one. I forgot about Windbreaker, but I would insert it here. In my ranking, I thought this was a really fun start, and I love delinquent manga, so I was expecting to enjoy this one as well. Just talked about this one, liked it a lot, interesting, liked the characters, liked the little mystery aspect. We'll be continuing for sure. Yuri Espoir, another one that I enjoyed this first volume of. Like I mentioned, I discovered that my library has all of Tokyopop's titles, so I plan to continue with this one through there for sure. Then we got a good old-fashioned sports manga, Prince of Tennis. Love it. Was expecting to love it, so not surprised about this one. And then probably my favorite thing I read was Volume 1 of Cinderella Closet. I don't think I was expecting that when I pulled all these out, but yeah, I love me a good kind of makeover romance with interesting characters, friendships, stuff like that. Let me know what you think, if you've read any of these, have read further along than I have, if I should give the first two another shot immediately, let me know. Stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy, and I'll see you in the next one.